Well, obviously, cybersecurity and cybercrime are real threats in the modern digital age, and increasingly we are seeing both governments and business and generally the individuals within our community targeted in this new form of crime. Well, I think obviously some of our, from a government perspective, obviously governments hold a lot of confidential information about our people, and obviously making sure that that information is protected is important. Governments and in some cases the private sector are responsible for the delivery of critical infrastructure. So we've seen internationally cases where critical infrastructure has been attacked and has been interfered with as a result of cybercrime. And then obviously right down to the lower levels where we've seen almost on a constant basis individuals being targeted by cyber criminals to extract usually some sort of financial reward. I think we have a few roles. Obviously, first and foremost, we're legislators, so we're responsible for ensuring that we have nimble and flexible legislative frameworks so that our law enforcement agencies can adequately respond to these types of events and these types of crimes. Obviously, we have a responsibility in terms of awareness within the community, within whether that be the business or the domestic community, around what they need to do to better protect themselves from this type of criminal activity. And thirdly, there's as well as the legislation and the awareness, we've also got our own systems, which in our experience in Western Australia, we don't do such a great job at protecting, and we need to get better and often learn from the experiences in private industry about what we need to do to better protect the critical information that we hold as governments. Well, it's probably nowhere near enough. I guess we have seen some incidents in Western Australia and in Australia, but obviously a lot of the big case studies are international. But we've seen some minor incidents, and which has led to, I guess, our Auditor General in the last 24 months doing a number of reports on the preparedness of government to be able to respond to and manage cyber attacks. It shows that we are significantly deficient in the way that government manages its threats. And we've seen recently the appointment for the first time of a Chief Information Officer at the state government level, which I hope will play a number of roles. I think the motivation for that role was really to help address some of the IT procurement issues that we're experiencing in the state, but also play a role in better preparing government for threats such as those that are posed in the cyber world. I think I'm here with two colleagues from Western Australia, and so we're well represented. I think that there's a number of things that we need to be talking about, both at a government, industry and a community level, whether it be reviewing our legislative frameworks to make sure that our law enforcement agencies and our intelligence agencies are well prepared and have the tools available to them to be able to manage these threats, but also generally building the awareness amongst government and others about the need to just implement some of the most basic things to ensure that we have at least have a chance in terms of responding to some of these attacks.
You see, first of all, cyber crime has become a global issue at the moment because from small to big countries, everybody is in connection, internet connection everywhere. And especially the third world countries, where Commonwealth countries we are in, third world countries, the way cyber or internet is moving forward, at the same time combating or controlling the crimes the country is not that ready. I found it in a lot of countries. Say, for example, in Bangladesh, as you know, a few months ago, from our reserve, Federal Bank of USA, we have our reserves there, and from there, the hackers, they could take out about near enough $1 billion US dollar out of it. So far, nothing has happened. So in that case, I would say that the hackers are faster than the keepers. So we are the keepers, and we cannot keep our wealth in that way. So it's a crime, but it has to be combated. And in my opinion, now is the time, especially for the Commonwealth countries, for various reasons which I'm not explaining at the moment. The Commonwealth should be stronger than ever before. You need that. We need that. And especially the third world countries, if you can guide us from the Commonwealth, like the seminars we are having for last few days and altogether about 4 days, I think we should come out on something that you suggest us something, because we, the members of the parliaments from different countries, we are here. Once we go back, there is nothing to do, nothing to say, because we are not the part and parcel of the cyber sector. So we would need something in write-up to give it to the Parliament and the Prime Minister to see to that and to control that. First of all, the parliamentary democratic countries, the parliament is the caucus of everything, is the main part of everything. So I think the parliamentarians, the MPs, like in my country, we have 350 MPs. If we are aware of the cyber and cyber crimes, then we could explain it to our people, because our explanation, people hear more than actually the newspaper and so on and so forth. So the parliamentarians have a vital role, and I think in all the parliaments, especially the Commonwealth countries' parliaments, it should be a subject, a topic in the parliament for debate, so we learn more.
Well, I suppose it's illegal activity, people using technology to disrupt, to use it to steal, to disengage, cause chaos, I suppose, in some ways. Perhaps a lack of awareness of the potential problems. I think people are fairly blasé about what they open or what they click on without realising or perhaps reading before they take action. I think in terms of small business, there's significant threat. I think that they are potentially a major target in our economy, and perhaps, I think there needs to be a greater degree of education for small business about how they manage technology in business. Well, obviously developing the policy, developing legislation, seeking out community, engaging with community about their views and understanding, and obviously monitoring the impact of that legislation and constantly looking to improve. Only there's the standard ones that have been sort of international that people are aware of. People talk about the Sony one. I know there's been a couple of test runs through government to try and challenge people and see, detect the level of awareness about cyber issues, and I don't think that's been addressed appropriately to date. Well, I'd certainly like to take back some ideas about how we can put in place state-based legislation if we need to, having a look at how we can improve awareness for young people. And I certainly picked up on some of the examples from this morning, and about how we can assist a business in our state as well to become better aware of either opportunities or challenges or threats in the digital economy area.
Cybercrime and cybersecurity, I think, are two of the biggest issues of our age. For governments, it's representing a new opportunity for policy development and working together, both within government as a whole of government response, developing whole of government responses, and for working with the private sector. For consumers, for the everyday person, it's affecting every area of our lives. We live, shop, communicate, and we do it all online. So it's a high-risk environment with big consequences. I believe infrastructure is one of the key issues, and protecting the infrastructure as technology advances down into the region. I think legislators have two things that they are especially good at. One is engaging with their community. That's talking to people about the problems that they face in this area and helping feed that information back into government to develop quality responses. And I think the second thing that legislators can do is to engage with the government, to ask good questions about how the government is helping to combat cybercrime.
Well, I guess what it means to me is a bit symptomatic of probably what's happening across the country. There are obviously really significant opportunities in technology, but there are extreme challenges and risks to us. And what strikes me is that we don't know what we don't know, and that probably applies across every single sector in society, whether it's government or the private sector, small, medium and large, community organisations, and the average person in the street. Look, I think there's clearly a lot of good work happening around partnerships and around people developing strategy, using those partnerships to develop strategies, and also a lot of intelligence around that. It seems to me that, again, going back to that education and awareness issue, that there isn't enough cognizance of what exactly the risks are, and of how important it is to have legislation frameworks around which we can pin our actions, and providing the chance for people to work together across all sectors to make sure that we're protected. I think we have to have the legislative frameworks around that, but we need to understand it. So I think something that has really been pushed at the workshop this week is about the importance of working with the private sector so that we can use their expertise and really understand what's happening. So I think our role is to make sure that we are educated as much as possible about the issue, and that the legislation we're putting in place is really going to work for now and also for the future, because obviously the scenarios can change so quickly in this space. So we need to make sure that we're future-proofing anything that we do. Look, I think I'll certainly be, as someone fortunate enough to actually be a delegate to this workshop, I'll certainly be making sure that my colleagues and certainly across government are actually aware of what's been discussed this week. We've been very fortunate to have some, such really impressive experts in the field, and I think my responsibility now is to share that, as I said, in Parliament, but also across the various organisations and businesses that I personally work with. I think we all have a role, and this was said earlier in the week, that it's up to all of us to actually combat cybercrime and cybersecurity issues. And so I'm going to take that responsibility very seriously and make sure that I play my role in education and awareness, and also I think make sure that I remain across what's happening in the area. I think I've realised this week that I need to be more across exactly what the magnitude of the threat is, but also the really amazing work that's already being done, particularly in Australia.
Where I'm coming from, this is all new to us, and especially this is a new workshop that we attended. But I think we gain a huge knowledge in terms of cybersecurity and also cybercrime, and basically it's affecting us in Samoa and where we're coming from, and it's coming through all different avenues in terms of internet. In terms of social media, and I think it's just like another cyber attack on basically in our well-being and everything that we've been doing back home in terms of banking, in terms of security of our little island nation. We are so vulnerable. Especially because of our little nations. There is currently a fiber cable that is currently laying out into Samoa. And this fiber cable will be hugely affected because the level of threat will be high in terms of speed and in terms of what we can gather through this fiber. It's going to affect a lot of things. It's going to affect our security, and also it's going to affect our parliament to start with, and also in electricity and water, because it's all been run now by computers, and it's going to affect a whole lot more than just banking itself. In Samoa, we cannot fight this alone. So I prefer that in a Pacific forum, we should put all together our resources, because the resources that we have is so limited. We are unable to combat this threat from within our small country. So we have to put together all our resources with the forum, and also we have to at least hire expertise from overseas or from outside partners, enable for us to combat this cyber threat. From our perspective, in our government, I don't think we've been there yet. We are so far behind in terms of what we can put together in terms of legislation and in terms of any security policies and procedures that we can put together for this type of threat. The government will have to seriously look at everywhere that we can get any assistance in expertise in order for us to protect our little nations as of now. But the other worries is financial assistance. We would have to look into that too as well. But I think the government will have to seriously look and put in some serious legislation to protect us while it's in a process, because I know that we're probably 10 or 15 years behind in terms of cyber threat to our nation.
Well, cyber security and cybercrime is a new words to us, a new experience for us in the Cook Islands. Although we have little exposure, little understanding of these terms, of these subjects to us in the Cook Islands, and we find it at this workshop very interesting, and it is of serious concern. Well, the greater risk is that our people will be drawn into the system, and they get hooked up and they get used up. Our children and then our adults population has already been taken advantage of by these hackers, by these intruders into our computer network, into our emails and so forth. They've spent a lot of money. They've lost a lot of money, and finding a solution to resolve this is very difficult. Well, I think immediately we need to sit down and talk about it and see what kind of legislation has already been done by other developed countries, and then put a system in place so that we can be guided in this cyberspace environment. No, it's a no. We haven't. That's why I'm saying now that we are very what's the word? Fortunate that we are here at this workshop to listen, to experience the damages that have been caused by intruders in this system, and we don't want to be to fall prey to these cybercrime. Firstly, when we go back, we will meet with our leaders, with our government, and put our proposals that our people need to be educated, be brought to some understanding of what this environment, this new cybercrime can do damage to our people. We need then to formulate some kind of legislation to protect us.
Because we are from a developing country, the likes of Pakistan, of course, cybersecurity is a major issue as far as terrorism is concerned, as far as security is concerned of individuals. So I think it's a very relevant issue as far as parliamentarians are concerned, so that we can legislate on the kind of information that has been given to us today. Also, a financial institution, legal institutions need to protect. We need to protect our citizens' information from obviously getting hacked into, or obviously citizens are more vulnerable because they give out information to different organizations and they don't know how much of vulnerability that is. So we need to protect them and inform them as legislators as to how much vulnerable their information is as far as their credit card information is concerned or their legal information is concerned. So I think overall, because more and more people are using internet to conduct business, we need to watch out for any kind of unfairness, if any, is taking place for our citizens. I think it's a very vital role as far as parliamentarians are concerned. Parliamentarians across the world need to legislate cybercrime. And in Pakistan, we've just yesterday approved our cybercrime bill. Our Senate committee has approved our our cybercrime bill. It's going to go for implementation, and it was a major issue in Pakistan that has been resolved. So, if you don't legislate it, you can't call it a crime, and if it's not a crime, that means you can't put anyone under bars, or you can't penalize them. So legislation is very important as far as cybercrime is concerned, because you're compromising individuals, and if individuals get compromised, parliamentarians obviously do not get votes. Pakistan has done an amazing lot of work. We've been working for the last 5 years on cybercrime bill. We have legislated with as far as the security agencies are concerned. The parliamentarians are also very vulnerable. Their data is also online, so protecting that. The copyrights issues also, and the reputation of individuals. Secondly, obviously the institutions that misuse information, or the smear campaigns that go on. So they are all legalized now, and they'll be penalized as in terms of 3 months, 4 months, and there'll be special courts that will be hearing these kind of cases, so that relevant authorities can take action. So I think the first step was to legislate, and that has taken us about 7-8 years. And now the second step would be making special courts, so that these hearings can take place, and the perpetrators can be penalized and made an example of, so that people understand that cybercrime is a very basically a crime that needs to be that people need protection from. I think more important is the security issue in Pakistan. More important is the terrorism issue in Pakistan. So the kind of information we are getting from this program, and obviously the Australian government, is that how to protect your own country from leakage of information, leakage of sensitive data that goes out, and obviously terrorists can use it for the wrong purposes. So I think more important for us, and for me as a participant, would be to understand how we can protect our intelligence agencies' data, so that it doesn't go into the wrong hands.
It's one of those issues that is growing in terms of what its definition is all of the time. So you've got, from an everyday thing which is appalling, child sex abuse, which is going on an international scale. You've got cybercrime against individual companies, potentially cyber attacks on critical national infrastructure. And of course, you've got the promotion and execution of terrorist acts via various electronic means. So it's something that I think we're really struggling at the moment to define, and that's why this initiative is so useful. I think if you look at the level of attacks and where they're coming from, the critical national infrastructure, if they can get into the system enough to, and we've seen it happen elsewhere in the world, in the Ukraine, for example, the ability to disrupt our daily life, our commerce, our trade, our industry, our whole systems of government is enormous. And I think, we've got fairly robust systems in place, but you can't be complacent about it. Sooner or later, someone will get through, because the level of attacks every day is so great. I think there are two clear roles. The first one is in terms of our own domestic legislation. And, you know, we've got legislation going through the House of Commons at the moment about regulatory powers. And that's important that we get the legislative framework right. I think the other role is, and I sit on the Intelligence and Security Committee, is in looking at the way things operate and whether or not the agencies responsible are doing the job in the way that is necessary, and also in a way that is consistent with all of the expectations the public have about their own privacy on the one hand, and their own security on the other. So I think there's a massive role for parliamentarians, and it's one we're only just beginning to get to grips with. I think two things immediately spring to mind arising out of the work that we've done so far in the workshop. The first one is the need for international consistency of approach. And what we know is that there are a lot of initiatives underway on that, but at the moment there aren't, I don't think, the institutions necessarily in place to enforce and codify what needs to be done. And the second thing I've learned, I think, is that what's going on elsewhere within the Commonwealth, for example, is of interest to us, just as what's going on in the UK is of interest to the rest of the Commonwealth. And that sharing experience is, I think, invaluable.
Cybersecurity, I think, is the measures that we all can take as individual citizens, but also as parliamentarians and as governments, to try and keep our activity online safe and to protect from the risk of cyber attacks. We have learned in this workshop of the very broad, diverse nature of cybercrime and the many different forms it can take, and cybersecurity measures that we can all take to keep ourselves safe online so we can continue enjoying the things that we like to do online, but make sure we stay safe at the same time. I think the threat of phishing attacks, so this is where emails are sent out encouraging you to click on a link which then puts malware onto your system, which can cause all sorts of damage to your system. I think that's a big threat. I think that people can fall for that very easily. We've been hearing today about how realistic some of these emails can be made to look, and I certainly, even as a parliamentarian with a high degree of knowledge about how these scams work, I will certainly be taking away from me and need to be even more careful than I already am at the moment. So I think that that's an area which a lot of people can fall vulnerable to very quickly without realising, and it's that kind of thing that we need to raise more awareness of. I think educating our constituents and raising awareness, particularly through schools and the various residence groups that we deal with, about the fairly straightforward measures that we can and all be taking in order to stay safer online. I'll be talking to West Midlands Police later on today and my local radio and TV station about some advice that they've issued to residents in the West Midlands region in the UK about how we can stay safe online. And actually the biggest takeaway that they are asking people to bear in mind is we should all make sure that every app and every system we have on our phones is regularly updated, even if that means that your phone is then rebooted and you have to wait a few minutes whilst it all comes back online. People often don't update because it's a bit irritating, but actually the updates contain security measures which make you safer online. So I think small things like that can make a big difference. We have a national strategy on cybersecurity issues, which, to be fair to the government, even though I'm an opposition member of Parliament, I have to recognise that they have made a lot of headway in this area. They put a lot of effort and government resource into cybersecurity issues. We are spending £1.9 billion as a nation, which I think shows the commitment that the government has made, which I certainly as an opposition MP welcome. We've also introduced the Investigatory Powers Bill, which is a way of controlling the use of the very intrusive powers that the police and the security services have told us are needed in our own country in order to tackle the different types of cybercrime, and that is currently going through the House of Lords. So it's not yet law, but we have a new bill in place, and that bill, I think, is a good case study for how legislation should be made in what is a very difficult area, the different types of committees that have considered that bill, the many parliamentarians that have made recommendations for changes to that bill, I think is a good example of how parliamentarians can really impact on government legislation for the betterment of the societies that we serve. I will certainly take away from me some of the learning that was shared around quick wins that individual citizens can have when it comes to so-called cyber hygiene, so things that you can do easily to keep yourself safe online. There were some good examples given to us. There's an international campaign called Stop, Think and Connect, which I will certainly be trying to publicise more widely in the UK, and I will be speaking to the all-party parliamentary group on cybercrime to see if there's something they can do in order to publicise that. So making sure that we build awareness at grassroots level in order to bring about the kind of safety consciousness that I think should be par for the course for everybody that we serve.
Okay, well, first of all, cybercrime. I think it's important for us to realise and to understand that cybercrime is crime. So it's one of many criminal activities. It's just that cyber is the tool that's being used to perpetrate the crime. It's also important to, I believe, to understand that cybercrime is just one of many threats within the cyber environment. So cybercrime, as we know, is predominantly around financial motivation, so perpetrating an attack or a compromise for financial gain. But again, it's one of many cyber threats that are out there in the threat environment. The Australia-Pacific region is like many regions. It has many common threats, but there's also some very specific aspects of the region which make us unique. We've been hearing here at the conference over the last couple of days that we do have particular challenges, unfortunately, in the area of child exploitation within the region and also around software piracy. So I think within cybercrime, those are two areas that we are going to have to face and tackle. Within the Australian Parliament, we have quite a comprehensive process and program of work around cybersecurity and looking at cybercrime and also the overall cyber threat. So one thing that we have actually done is we've moved to the whole of government secure internet gateway. So what that means is that a number of government departments are sharing a common secure internet gateway. The benefit of this is we have a gateway now that is not only secure, but it's monitored, managed, and essentially responded to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So any threats that are seen on that network are responded to in real time. And the added advantage is that we can proactively manage threats. So a threat that's seen on one government agency gateway can automatically be mitigated against on the other gateways across the federal government, which means that agencies would be protected against threats before we even see them. We've also implemented ASD's top 4 recommendations for mitigating cyber threats, which we know will mitigate some 85% of threats, but we're not resting there. Obviously, there's a lot more work to be done, and we're also maturing a lot of the controls around the internet security the Information Security Manual, also put forward by ASD. So again, about not stopping with the top 4, moving on, continually maturing those controls.
Well, firstly, cybersecurity is about ensuring that we protect consumers whilst on the internet, not only when they surf the internet or use their emails, but also ensuring that people are protected when they are financially, with their bank accounts and various other things. Cybercrime, to me, is the unfortunate situation where some individuals deliberately go out there to abuse a person's vulnerabilities, whether it is online, because they may not necessarily understand all the rules and various protections out there, or deliberately find ways to break down firewalls and hack into personal information about individuals, steal their financial records, or worse, steal their identity. I think it's quite broad. I think it's, first of all, about ensuring that the protective mechanisms are there for the private sector, particularly in finance, in transport, and a different technology. But it's also about our defences as well, and I think that's just not an Australian issue, but also a global responsibility. I think there's a number of things. Firstly, we have an opportunity to delve into what the issues are, speak to particularly the experts in the industry, and then work out what are the solutions, what mechanisms need to be put in place, whether it's legislatively or whether it also could be from taking action against the perpetrators. I think it's very important because our state must work in with the federal government, because the federal government deals more broadly with the global approach to cybersecurity and crime. But there's specific things, particularly in the areas of transport infrastructure, as well as particularly border security, where we can provide assistance at a state level as well.
For those are the two very important words that we came across in our workshop for the last few days. And to me, cybersecurity is for us to try and provide an environment whereby the hackers or people who normally play up this role do not access to our network very easily. While cybercrime, on the other hand, is the crime that hackers do in order to get information from individual networks of parliamentarians. Cybercrime for small places like the Pacific countries, it will be very hard to really control it because the crime is worldwide. And the resources and the manpower that we've got in these small Pacific countries are not enough to be able to address the issues that have been coming up regularly in regards to the cybercrime problems that we are currently facing. I think that is where where we are calling in these few days is to come and formulate the best way forward for parliamentarians, because we see parliamentarians has got a very key role to play in this area, whereby they have to go back and try and put legislative in place through parliaments in order for these criminal acts not to be purposely tackling the areas of the small Pacific countries. Currently, the Fiji government has set up an unit within the police force, Fiji police force, to look into this area, and and this unit is responsible to check all the complaints that comes within this area, and at the same time, we are also fortunate to have an unit within our reserve bank to look into these areas in regards to money laundering and areas such as that. We are fortunate at least that the government has put in place those initiatives, but they are not enough to fully be able to address the problem that will be coming up in those areas, and that is why we were fortunate to be part of this workshop, whereby an overall framework will be put in place whereby all the countries within the Pacific and the region will be benefited. From what we've gathered so far, we know this is not a small area to look into. It's quite a big area. If we don't address it now, it will become a very problematic area in the years to come. We are really fortunate to be here, so that when we go back now, we'll try and put it straight to Parliament to ensure that something positive is done in order to protect this huge problem if we are not going to look after it now at this point in time.
Yeah, it could mean a lot of things. Actually, as you know, through the internet, we are getting connected. I think the world is getting connected. So I think cybersecurity is the security of that interconnection between, it could be different institutions or different people. So I think it's very important, because some of the elements that are there in the society, they are also getting connected through cyberspace. So some of the activities that are taking place in the community or socially, they are also coming into cyberspace. So cybersecurity is very important, I think, going forward, that we have a very secure space for our children as well as all the institutions to work with. Yeah, I think the first thing is, you know, a lot of the government institutions are coming online in Sri Lanka. So it's very important that we have a secure connection so people can access different forms of services that the government is providing. And also the private sector is also getting connected because it's a global economy and we need to be connected. So it's very important that the commercial side is also protected. And also especially the children, as we talked about in the first day, that we need to have a very secure environment, that some of the people in our society, they don't exploit the weakness. Yes, I think legislation is the key point that we need to strengthen to tackle cybercrime. I think if you have a very comprehensive process where all the avenues where cybercrime can take place is covered, I think we could move forward. I think that would deter potential threats coming within the country. But I think we need to collaborate with other countries, so cross-country crime can be tackled. So it's very important as a global community that we have a very comprehensive partnership with all the other countries as well. Yes, we have a computer crime legislation which came up in 2007. And also we have the police has set up a internet monitoring platform where the citizens can complain if there's, for example, harassment. If you're using Facebook and if there's a harassment, you can complain. So we have very a broad-based system where citizens can complain as well as the police will take action. Yes, I think we need to actually look at the existing technology, because I think the technology is changing very rapidly. So we need to keep on monitoring and come up with legislation that would cover potential areas that the criminals could exploit. So it's very important that the parliamentarians are up to date on technology as well as other aspects that we might have to look into.
In order to achieve peace, we need some security. So in this context of a cyber world with information floating around, there must be a condition where documents, data are secured so that they are not misused or being taken out of the circulation for people to use it to to get ransom money and also to disturb the management of a company or a country. So we need this security, just like we need security, physical security, in order to prevent chaos and anarchy. So cybersecurity can be affected by criminals too, cybercrime. Okay, so we need an effective way to stop criminals from misusing the cyber world, stealing or damaging information, which can affect businesses, it can affect social services, and can bring down a government. So in order to achieve cybersecurity, we should ensure that cyber criminals are kept at bay. Well, I think the main issue here is if our financial world, if our business is affected by cybercrime. This may lead to failure of companies, loss of money in account, in savings, and so on, and also false transaction in businesses, which may affect the people. This has already been ongoing. Yeah? So we need to limit the damage. Otherwise, the other issue is the leak of what you call secrets of the country, the misuse of information. This will also affect the management of a country. So this is very important to be secured. Yeah. Cybercrime can be controlled by technology. People in this field, they can form all kinds of defense mechanism, firewall, and so on. But in the end, you need certain kind of rulings, procedures, laws, and so on. And this is where parliamentarians and politicians have a big role to do, to perform, by coming together and design certain procedures and laws so that cyber crime can be taken care of. Well, we have undergone certain revision in our laws affecting cybercrime, but I don't think there is any special studies or project being done, to my information. We have plenty of information, and we have learned a lot of things. In fact, we realize that we can do a lot as parliamentarians. We can do a lot by making the people in the country aware of the need for security, the need to fight cybercrime. So I think it's our moral duty and political duty to go back and ensure that our constituency and the population at large are being informed of the necessity of the needs of these issues to be made known to the people.
Like I said during the session, cybersecurity and cybercrime is very new thing in Kiribati, and it's good to be here attending this seminar because it's going to give us, a better idea of what cybercrime and cybersecurity is all about. Yes, in Kiribati, the use of internet, the use of the mobile is very, advanced, and with that, in mind, children are using a lot, the internet. So I think we should be ready, and we should have strategies in place, to tackle these cyber security issues. Well, I think so. In our case, cyber security is very important, and because we don't want to face similar problems that developed countries did face, when they first started on their security, laws, cybersecurity laws. So we don't want to face that situation. So in our case, we need to be prepared and ready, and in order to do that, we should have cybersecurity laws taken up to Parliament. Yeah, I think the role of parliamentarians is very important. It's clearly stated and explained during the seminar, and maybe the most important role is to legislate, put in place legislations, make policies, and then transfer that into legislations that will tackle the cybersecurity issue. Yes, well, in our case, the first issue that we'd like to take back to Kiribati is, maybe putting in place, or maybe taking it up to government and to Parliament, the policies and maybe cybersecurity laws that will help, to address the problems faced by, developed countries which are having, so much problems related to cybersecurity matters.
So cybercrime, as we've heard at this conference, is effectively a crime. It is a crime utilising a digital modality, so we really do need to understand that it is a breach of people's legal rights. There are harms and there are consequences of cybercrime. I think it's sometimes because of its remoteness, its ubiquitousness, if you like. It's just passed off as, oh, it's just bullying, or it's just something else. I'm not physically harmed, if you like. I don't think that's correct. I think people are physically harmed. I think they can be emotionally harmed. Certainly they can be financially harmed. So cybercrime is as important as other crimes to society. Yeah, there's multiple risks to our country and to the region. We know when we look at the incident reports into New Zealand that a third of all our intrusions, if you like, are from spam and scans. We know that another third are from DOS attacks, and then we're into the phishing and the other sort of events. Now, the consequences of that are we want to be seen as a cyber safe and cyber secure country. Certainly from a trading relationship, we want to know that if we trade with you, you are also a cyber safe and cyber secure country, that if we pass data to you, you look after it, that if you pass it to us, we look after it. I think there's another step to that as well. If we have trust between us as countries in the cyberspace, then if you're thinking of implementing a cyber strategy that might have some impact on our cross-border arrangements, for example, maybe we could have a discussion as to what I would need to do to fit into your new protocol, and vice versa. If we're thinking of bringing in some new cross-border arrangements that have a cyber requirement to them, maybe I could have that discussion with you as well to see how we might go about implementing that. I think that's all very important for the region. I think parliamentarians need to be champions and owners of the policy space. The technical space, there are people who are better skilled than us to deal with that. But I think the policy space we need to champion. We need to champion the frameworks around what a national cyber security strategy might look like. We need to be the advocate for cybersecurity within our own caucuses, within our own governments. I think that's what politicians can do. We came up with the 2015 cybersecurity strategy that then became an action plan, and fundamentally this has 4 anchors to it. It has one of those anchors is cyber resilience, making sure that our population understand and are well educated around cyber threats, also that we can recover from a cyber threat. There are other parts to the whole strategy that talk about our ability as a country to be informed right from the individual level right through to a government level. And one of those other anchors I've already mentioned is our international relationships. I think that's a really core part for politicians to play, to be able to develop those relationships of trust and rapid and early sharing of learned experiences. That's a really important part. Yes, I've learned several things. I've been really interested in the governance, if you like, that the Australians are doing in cybersecurity. I've just heard that they have a junior minister for cybersecurity. That's really interesting. That's good leadership. That's championing the cause. We escalate our cybersecurity right up to the Minister for Broadcasting and Communication. We also have cybersecurity sitting out in police and defence force as well. So I think that's really interesting. I'd like to know more about that. I'm also interested in some of the challenges that other countries are finding. We share that with them. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's share the learned experience so that we can quickly get to a level of capability that serves us all.
As you know, in this day and age of the spread of the internet, it's to do with, on cybercrime, it's to do with hacking, on spying, on pedophilia, and all these other things that are going on in the internet. And I think governments and countries need to take steps to legislate for cybersecurity. I think for countries like Solomon Islands, and indeed the countries in the Pacific, I think it is to do with fraud, money laundering, trafficking, of people, especially children, women and girls, and basically the sex trafficking that is going on. So it's very important. I think as legislators, we need to be aware of what is happening in cybersecurity and cybercrime, and implement and advocate for legislation for cybersecurity. At the moment, there are no legislations that are enacted by our parliament for cybersecurity, nor are there any regulations in place for cybersecurity or cybercrime. So this is a whole new area for us, and I'm very thankful that we are here in this workshop to learn and to indeed urgently come up with steps to make legislation. I think the learning outcome for me in this workshop is where to start in coming up with legislation for cybercrime and cybersecurity.
So from ICANN's perspective, the internet identifiers are very important. So the misuse and the abuses related to internet identifiers are very critical for us to look into, and then to make sure that such misuse and abuse basically do not happen, and the community is aware of handling those abuses and misuse. So that is where we are focusing from. I would actually take it, this is in fact not only for Asia-Pacific but globally as well. Things like phishing attacks, and there are lots of DNS-related attacks as well, things like DNS hijacking, phishing attacks, DDoS type attacks, and so on. So these are some sort of common security threats. So globally as well as in the region, in the Asia-Pacific region as well. So I would actually take it as a whole. Okay, I mean, there are lots of things that, especially from a policy perspective, that the parliamentarians can be involved in. One thing is that to encourage their countries, legislators, the justice sector, and so on to participate in, especially in such forums. ICANN, we have 3 meetings per year as well, so there are a number of stakeholder communities do participate in these forums in terms of developing policies. So if the legislators can talk to their communities within their national level, and then encourage the community to participate, even themselves, they can participate and contribute to this policy process. I think we can, that would be very helpful, especially to handle these sort of cybercrime and abuses that we talk about.